Since the dawn of recorded human history, the people have yearned for thrills and or chills. From ghost stories told round the campfire to theme park mazes, everybody loves to get spooked from time to time. And one man who none can claim did not enjoy the occasional spooking was Hitoshi Akamatsu. Akamatsu was a horror film fan with a particular love for the classics, Dracula, Frankenstein, The Mummy, et al. And so he decided to take his favorite elements from those films and monster mash them up into one spooktacular video game. Players controlled Simon Belmont, a Van Helsing-like with a magic whip, dead set on eliminating every creepy crawler on his way to find Dracula's tomb in order to vanquish the bloodsucker once and for all. While the series would eventually transform into something completely different, much like, say, a bat transforming into a vampire, this first iteration was a simpler affair. An action platformer hybrid, the game took off thanks to its effective use of familiar horror iconography and its, for the time, uniquely Halloween-y atmosphere. Akamatsu set out to create a game infused with cinematic grandeur. And today we're venturing into Dracula's castle to see how that old corpse is holding up. It's Castlevania! It's a video game podcast.
Wow!
And there's so much to discuss. One of us knows all about them.
That's you.
And the other one's a dunce.
That's me.
You're gonna learn about the very best games with two annoying dorks.
Fatality.
From asteroids to Zelda, from adventure to Zork. We have no life, and we feel no shame. We need your help, 'cause we're bad with games. Good evening and welcome. My name is Jonathan.
My name is Will.
And we are Bad with Games.
What?
Oh!
Wasn't
Wait, it became Santa at the end.
I wasn't ready for the spooky opening. Maybe I should have been, though, because it is the spooky season.
Yes, in fact, it's the time of the release of this episode. It's only 2 days left of the spooky season.
I think it stays spooky for a little bit, even after the spookiest day of all.
Early November, because then you think it's gone away, but the ghosts linger.
That's right.
Early November, the scariest time of all.
What a good word, linger.
Yeah. Do you have to? Do you have to? Do you have to?
That's pretty funny.
This week, it's a Halloween episode because we're discussing Castlevania, the NES action platformer released in 1987 in North America, originally on the Famicom in 1986 over in that Japan there overseas.
What the
It's
how many characters can you do in 1 minute here? Is that really necessary?
I can't control it. The demons are in me. Ah! It's the very first game ever released in the Castlevania series. We're going to have a good time talking about it today. But before that, I want to remind folks, if you're listening to this as a podcast, we're also on YouTube, youtube.com/@badwithgames. You can watch our gameplay footage for this week's game. You can also support us on Patreon, patreon.com/badwithgames. You'll get bonus episodes every week, plus access to our Discord channel where we're chatting up a spooky storm every single day, practically. You don't know. Prove us wrong. Get in there.
Fuck, I gotta put some spooky messages in the spooky Discord. It's not spooky enough in there. I think you make a good point. Don't miss out.
I often do. Yeah, they shouldn't. You can also email us badwithgamespodcast@gmail.com. Okay. We played Castlevania. How do we start this show? I think we can get into it, right? We talk about our histories and stuff. Is that the way it begins?
Yeah, that's the normal. You didn't want to do royales anymore, right? You said they were, I don't know, not really what you wanted.
Maybe the background royale. I'm working on new, better titles for our segments. And by working on, I mean, like, I think I should come up with them. Or somebody should. You can, or listeners could submit them. We're going to get to that eventually.
We are going to get to that eventually. I feel like I've already gone over my background with this game in an earlier episode when I
Right.
asked you about the definition of Castlevania and why this particular game, or Castlevania, of Metroidvania, and why this particular game was not listed as a Metroidvania in our spreadsheet.
Right. Which I think was an indication that you, in fact, have no experience at all with the Castlevania series.
I know the meme from not this game.
What's the meme?
The
What
what
a
is
terrible
a
night
man?
for a curse? Oh, that one.
Yeah, like the one.
Right. Yeah. Right. That's a good meme.
Yeah, that's about all I know. There's Dracula.
Right.
I do,
But one
yeah.
thing you do like is you like spooky stuff. You like the Monster Mash. You like a Halloween spirit.
I do
don't you?
love me a Monster Mash. I love me carving a pumpkin. I love candy and trick-or-treating. I love ghosts and ghouls. I love black cats and vampires and zombies. Just naming things from the spooky song.
Hunchbacks.
Oh, yeah.
Oh. Sure. That a song everybody knows.
They should if they don't.
What is your relationship to the sort of classic Universal monster movies, Frankenstein, Dracula, The Mummy? Because I feel like that's where this game really pulls from. Is that a thing you're into?
Not particularly. Like these are movies that I have seen, but I definitely am not some kind of like universal monster head. I like them in theory, but I'm not, I'm not the guy who's like, oh yeah, I've seen all these and I've all the niche ones and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. I like the Dark Universe, the new ones. Like there was the Tom Cruise Mummy. That's my favorite.
Makes sense.
The entire Dark Universe is my favorite. Universal Studios Orlando just opened up their Dark Universe park. You can go there and meet Igor and the Bride of Frankenstein and stuff.
Do that.
Yeah.
I feel like I like these things more as iconography than as actual things, right? It's like, okay, I could like watch, the Wolfman, but you know what's a lot better? A Wolfman mask or a drawing of a Wolfman.
Just the idea of a Wolfman.
Yeah, or like a mummy. It's it's great when there's a mummy, I don't need any more than that.
It's great when people cry out for mummy.
That's not as great.
All right.
They should
now
say
I'm getting
mummy.
back to the DK rap.
Acceptable.
Well, so no, this is your first time this week playing Castlevania. Presumably you now have an understanding of why it's not a Metroidvania, but we will discuss that in more detail in a minute. Personally, I would say I also am not really into those old monster movies. I think we're on the same wavelength there. Castlevania, I would call myself a casual fan of Castlevania. Most of my experience with this series comes from the Game Boy Advance and Nintendo DS entries, which I feel like are kind of I don't know, in my mind, they're like a golden age for the series. That was once the series had firmly moved into Metroidvania territory. And there's 4 of those, maybe 3, 4, 5 of those that are all pretty good. I have messed around a little bit with the older ones. I actually really like Super Castlevania 4, which is on the Super Nintendo. But I'm not, I haven't played every entry, or the ones I've played, some of them have just been like with this NES one. I've maybe messed around with it here and there, but never really played it for more than 10 minutes before this week. So I'm familiar with all this iconography and everything, but this game is mostly new to me. Of course, even if you haven't played Castlevania, you're familiar with the iconography because, again, it is 95% of it just pulled from stuff Halloween stuff. It's kind of all in there.
Yes, like
Dracula, Frankenstein, everything.
if I may read the names of some of the bosses that you can fight in here from
Please.
from the manual here, you could fight Frankenstein and Igor, Mummy Man, Grim Reaper, and the Count. Those are
That's
some of the
them.
bosses. You know them, you love them.
You've also got like Medusa, so they
Yeah.
kind of draw from a few different mythologies.
They do get a couple
this game.
other things in there, but there's some big names.
It's a real monster mash of a game, I would say.
I'm
All right.
really mashing over here, I'm not gonna lie.
Well, just try not to mash too much. Before we talk about the game proper, of course, it is time to cover it. Remember when I came up with that one?
Oh, right, yes. Yeah, I do okay, yeah. Right. Yeah, that was good. I would
This
say.
is the segment where we analyze the box art of the game because, hey, that's important. That's the first thing. In 1987, when you're at Toys R Us looking at the shelf, trying to decide what you want to ask for Christmas from your mommy and daddy, or mummy, I might say. You see this box art and your eyes might go wide. Oh, Mummy, Castlevania, please, may I have it? And here's the box art. You can see it if you're watching this on YouTube or look it up yourself. It is a gray background. You've got the Castlevania logo up at the top. The image here is Simon Belmont. That's the main character of the game. We see him from the back as he wields his magic whip in sort of a gladiator outfit with a sword.
Very Conan the Barbarian.
Mm-hmm.
Very kind of sexy. A lot of attention drawn to his ass here.
All right. Okay. Just let me just finish describing it, then you can comment.
I'm sorry. I got distracted. Please continue.
And in the background, you see Dracula's castle up on a hill, and there's an image of Dracula himself, his head looming over it, with blood dripping from his mouth, actually, which is sort of graphic for a children's Nintendo game. I just noticed that. There's vampire bats. Okay, we can get back to what you were saying now. Simon Belmont here is he is the thing that makes the least sense in this game in terms of the theme. Because I guess I don't really know that much about some of this stuff. Like, is that what Van Helsing? I thought Van Helsing was a guy in a coat, or is that just the Hugh Jackman one?
This is not Van Helsing. Yeah. I don't.
Well, how did this guy get in here?
Well, I'll tell you something I saw. I mean, well, first of all, when I look at him, what I see is like a Conan the Barbarian type. And given how much of this is based on like monster movies, it wouldn't shock me that that's part of it. Because I did find out why he uses a whip. Because I wondered about that. I was like, is Van Helsing supposed to use a whip? I don't remember that from anything. It turns out he uses a whip because Indiana Jones uses a whip. And the creator thought that was cool.
Hell yeah, he was right as hell, my man.
So, like, it really is. I mean, he's like Van Helsing, but he's also just like all my other favorite movie characters. Yay.
I kind of like it, though, because everything else in the game feels of a piece. And I like that Simon is he's not from this world. He's a guy who's like, I'm not a part of this. I'm here to fucking kill all these things. I don't have to belong in this picture. I'm here to fucking erase it. I kind of like that. It is very strange. Also, I guess this is true of whips, but that whip is long as hell. It trails off. You don't even see the end of it on this box art. That's a big whip.
It's got like a sparkle, right? At some point, it's, the like little sheen thing going off. It's hard to see on the box art because it blends in, like there's a gray background cutting it off. But in like the full picture, you can see it. It glints in the sunlight.
Yeah, we're also looking at here, there's a full high-res version of this image that doesn't have the logo or anything obstructing it. Which is, overall, I can't remember all of them off the top of my head right now, but this has got to be one of my favorite box arts we've done. It is very cinematic. It looks like a Drew Struzan sort of, like the classic Star Wars or
Mhm.
Indiana Jones posters with the big head that looks kind of painterly, portrait like. I think it's kind of rules,
Yeah.
personally.
No, I think it's good. It's well framed. The Dracula is appropriately menacing. I do love that like he's got wings or something. Like his ears sort of blend into a set of wings behind him. The way the
Oh,
face
yeah.
looms. It's good. The castle is imposing. Up on this giant hill. Yeah, I mean, it's a good picture, and um, I don't know if it said anything on like the back of the box, but
Probably did.
when you played the game, you're just like a pixelated version of this guy. So he doesn't, Simon Belmont doesn't look like he does here. You know, you he's like a guy, I guess. He definitely got some kind of gladiator armor or something that is muscular. He definitely has a whip, but I don't get the same sense of him in the game that I do from this picture, and the manual has little to no information about what is happening. It's just like, "Here's some monsters, you're gonna fight them. There you go." Like, I think that this box art does a lot of the heavy lifting in terms of what is the world you are in and what are you doing.
Yeah, that is another one of the big things about the Castlevania series. By the time you get to Symphony of the Night and such, there's a lot of lore and characters, and there's actual dialogue
Mhm.
between them. And here in this early iteration, it really is just, I don't know. There's a bunch of monsters and you're gonna kill them. Like
Yeah.
what else? He didn't. I don't think he was even. I think it's by Castlevania 2 is when they decided. Oh, that was Simon Belmont. I don't. His
Yeah.
name doesn't actually show up in this
I
manual.
was gonna ask about that.
Yeah, because just Castlevania 2 is Simon's
Mm,
quest or something. I don't know.
yeah.
It's something about Simon.
I do think that like this kind of art is important though because like when you say like okay there's a bunch of monsters and you the hero go in and kill them, right, that could be really cool or it could be really boring and it's really hard to tell. And if you just plop someone down in a video game, there is kind of this sense of like okay, sure, there's a bunch of monsters, you kill them, that's every video game, right? Why do I like sure, right? But if you have this very cinematic piece of like, look at the hero, look at his rippling muscles and his long whip, look at the imposing Dracula. What's the story? He goes in there to fight him, right? It's cool and
Yeah.
it's engaging. You know what I mean? Like presentation matters a lot. I do think this box art like not having looked at it very much before I played the game, this box art retroactively adds to the experience.
I wonder how this game reads if someone were not familiar with any of these monsters. If you were from some country where they didn't talk about mummies or
Mhm.
Dracula, you're just like, what is all this shit? It would just seem like complete nonsense, I suppose.
Yeah, Mario jumping on the Goombas.
Right. I guess that thing's a Goomba. I don't know. I suppose in the game you do one of the items you can get is daggers. So I guess maybe this sword in his hilt,
Mm.
maybe that's supposed to be one of the daggers because you certainly don't wield a sword in the game. So I don't know why he has that.
Yeah, yeah. Well, because the action hero would carry a sword, not a whip, so the artist drew one.
At least he's got, I mean, as far as box arts go, this is one of the more accurate ones
That's true.
compared to like King's Quest or whatever, or some other games we've looked at that we were confused trying to figure out what the fuck was going on.
Old
This guy's in
Pac-Man
there.
design, yeah.
He could be holding like a stopwatch in his left hand.
Mhm, mhm.
He should have holy water. I do want to. What the fuck is this outfit? It's crazy.
It's pretty good,
what
I'd say.
what is going on with that? Those legs, man.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, those fucking I mean, his thighs are literally as big around as my chest. It's pretty
Jesus.
incredible.
He's got the boots with the fur.
Mm-hmm.
And is that like, would you call that a mullet? What is that? Or is that, I guess it's just long hair.
It could, yeah, from the back it's impossible to tell. It could be a mullet. Why not? He's got some kind of headband, too.
Yeah, it's kind of a Billy Mitchell type.
Is he now?
Yeah. All right. So that's the box art. Let's get into the game itself. So Castlevania, again, 1986, 1987 on the Famicom/NES. This is an action platformer game. You go into Dracula's castle, you whip enemies. There are 18 total stages. At the end of every 3 stages, there is a boss, and you move on. And that's about, as you go, you are whipping walls and whipping candles on the walls, which will give you hearts, which are, more stock for your items, and the items themselves, which are usually weapons. There's a whole variety of secondary weapons in addition to your whip that you can find and use, like, again, throwing daggers or axes or holy water. There's a boomerang. You also can find points. There is a score in this game, although it's completely meaningless. It doesn't, there's no reason to pay attention to it, but you will find bags of money, which will add to your score for some reason, in case you want that. This is one game where I'm with you and I'm like, I don't even know why they bothered. A holdover.
It's a little bit weird that hearts are more weapon uses and food is more health. Like, that's odd, right?
I wrote this down. One of my notes is, Will is going to be so mad that the hearts are your ammo and not health, because you hated that in Double Dragon. That hearts represented something else. I knew it was going to bother you.
It's not as bad here, because it is actually more explicitly laid out in the manual, and it's a lot more obvious in this one, like what they are doing. But yeah, it was still like, what the hell is this? Why'd you do it that way?
I'm sort of with you, because you do find so many hearts all the time, and you rarely find health. And I sort of wish that those two things were swapped. But then again, the items can be extremely helpful. So it is nice to constantly find inventory for them. I don't know. This is getting too into the weeds.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't necessarily mind that health checkpoints are rare, but it does feel a little bit taunting to be all like, you need health, huh? Well, here's some hearts. If they were like coins, it wouldn't feel so much like it was making fun of me.
Yeah. I don't know, what else could it be? Just a bag?
Yeah, I don't know.
Or something. Yeah. So let's talk about Castlevania. It's your first time playing this game. My first time playing it to any great extent. I'm going to tell you my initial impressions of this game. And I eventually I was like, well, this isn't quite correct, and I am certain that will not feel this way, but at a point that you get to. But initially, I did think this game is sort of unique for what we've covered so far in a couple of ways. One of which is, I think it is in many ways more immediately accessible than a lot of the other games we've played. I think that it's a little bit, at least in the first couple of levels, it's a little bit easier to kind of get moving, get rid of enemies, get on your way. And the game has some, for this era, very forgiving features, such that once you finish a set of 3 levels, you get unlimited continues. You get 4 lives every time you respawn. And once you've beat I don't remember how they exactly categorize them, because each one's a stage, but like 3 or 4 of them are like a level together or something.
Yeah, let's just say there's 3 like rooms or stages or whatever per level. Yeah.
After you beat a boss.
Yeah.
Once you beat a boss,
yeah,
you don't have to do that boss again, unless you turn the game off.
Yeah. So like when you die, you go back to the beginning of the stage you're on. And if you lose all your lives, you go back to the beginning of the level you're on. Right.
Sure, yeah, we'll say that. Areas, let's call them
Areas,
areas.
sure. Yeah, people get what this
No, don't do that.
basically means.
And so I thought, okay, that's one thing that's interesting. Another thing about this game, I think it's maybe the first game we have covered. I'm looking at all of our games. I think it is actually, I would say maybe Mario Brothers 2 would be the other one. But the vast majority of our games are extremely influential, innovative. Often in writing these introductions, it's common that I will say something along the lines of, this was the first time anyone ever did this. No one had ever seen this before. The first graphic adventure game, the first PC strategy game, the first high scores that ever existed, whatever it is. Castlevania isn't really. There's nothing about this game that makes it really a landmark in terms of contributions to the genre or totally new mechanics or something like that. It kind of is just significant because it became an important franchise and it was very popular on its own at the time as an NES game. But it's not like some, oh, this is a really important part of video game history in that sense. So I don't know. It'll be interesting to see how we talk about it because I feel like it doesn't quite have that. But I wonder if that's something that you thought about since you have less experience with these games than I do.
Um, yeah, I don't know that I really thought about it, but like that does seem on the face of it true, right? Like, um, yeah, I mean you're going through levels, you're doing platform stuff. It's kind of similar to Mario in that you go to the level and then you get to the next bit and then you go to the level, you get to the next bit. There's a little bit where sometimes you're right and sometimes you're left, like Metroid, but you're never really backtracking or anything like that, which is why I guess it's not a whatever. Um, there are power up items hidden in candles. Again, kind of Mario esque. Um, like yeah, it's not. There's nothing in particular about it that stands out, other than just the fact that it's like we put a bunch of recognizable movie monsters in it.
Mhm.
I don't know. I don't know if that makes it particularly special.
Yeah, I think it's two things. I think that's one of them. It's just I don't think there really were many horror themed games at the time. I'm not sure. There's Ghosts and Goblins, which I think came out before this, but it wasn't a huge genre, and they certainly did it in a sort of unique way. And somehow they came around to being unique and being so derivative of so many things all at once, kind of like a Tarantino effect.
Hmm.
I'd say the other thing maybe is just the whip. That's not really a weapon I think any other game used. So that there is something unique about that I think gives it its own kind of
Hmm.
flavor. So it's not that it's samey or redundant or doesn't feel special. It's more of a refinement of things that came before it or a different execution of those things. And for once it's not like everyone's minds were fucking blown.
Hmm.
It's just which we're going to start to get to more of that, particularly in season 2. Like before too long on the show, it will kind of become, well, this is just a game that's good. You can only have so many games that revolutionized the industry.
Right.
Right.
Right. Yeah. So when I was playing this, I mean, I definitely noticed what you're saying in terms of like the first level, like right off the bat, is pretty
Mhm.
accessible. Like you can kind of like walk in there and fuck around and be like, "How am I supposed to do this? Oh, I'm supposed to do it in the most straightforward, obvious way possible." And I got hurt because I thought maybe there was some tricky thing, and it was kind of fine that that happened. Um, sort of thing
Mhm.
right off the bat. Um, I did, and I'll say this right up front, I did think that for me the controls were very clunky. And I don't know how much of that is just me being bad and how much of it is it being kind of unintuitive. Uh, the whip I never quite figured out exactly where it hits, right? Like, I don't think by the end I could consistently, like, hit a candle with the whip because I'd just be like, "Yeah, the whip hits about here," and 80% of the time that'd be right, but it doesn't like, it's not intuitive where the hell that thing's hitbox is and what the timing is on, when I press the button to when it hits. The jumping is weird, right? Sometimes I, like, just don't jump. Sometimes I would be at a ledge and I would try to make the jump and I just wouldn't get on the ledge. And then I'd make the exact same jump the exact same way 3 times. And I'd be like, oh, now I did it. I don't know what I did differently. Somehow I did it different. There's staircases that you, press up or down to go on. So if you like walk on them with left or right, you just fall through them into the floor and die. But also up uses your special weapon. So sometimes I'm trying to use my regular weapon, but I'm on a staircase, so I was pressing up. So you just accidentally use the like. I found it very weird and clunky and difficult to do what I wanted to do. And what this effectively meant was the instant that the game decided, hey, there's going to be any platforming whatsoever, it became like damn near impossible for me.
I think anyone who played Castlevania probably could have predicted how this would go for you
Mhm.
at a certain point. It's certainly, this is not all on you. Some of the controls are oddly stiff. You cannot whip it like diagonally or up or anything like that. You're whipping back and forth, and it's sometimes a little bit awkward to turn the way you want to when you want to. I
Mhm.
don't know that I quite had that hitbox issue, at least certainly not with candles. I was pretty consistently hitting those.
Yeah, because those don't even
But
move. You just line up and dip. But like I literally like I use that as my example because I actually had no clue where the hell it was.
yeah, I mean, I guess I just like kept spamming it as I moved and I didn't really think about it. It was just like, I don't
Mhm.
know, I hit stuff as I go.
Yeah.
So it works. But the rest of it, jumping is a little weird. Like you do kind of have to get a running start. There's not a run in this game, but you will jump farther if you back up and jump as you're moving than if you just move, which makes sense. But because Simon is pretty slow, it doesn't feel as intuitive as in something like Mario, which you also didn't figure out you could run in. But we don't need to talk about that right now. I had the exact same thing. The stairs are maybe the weirdest thing of all this, where, yes, you'll be going up and then you think you're off the stairs and you try to use something, but you're not, and you use the wrong thing. Or I would early on just forget how stairs worked in this game and try to maybe jump onto them or just walk onto them and fall flat down to the bottom. And if
Mhm.
it was a pit, I would die. Um, Certainly, it's exacerbated if you are bad at video games,
Yes.
but it's not there. The controls, I think, are probably I think like I adjusted to them for the most part, but especially when things start getting a bit hairier, they can definitely get in the way. The part where I started to stop thinking, wow, this game's like really accessible and easy. This is like a this will be a change of pace, is doesn't take long. I think it's end of stage 2 or maybe stage 3 when the Medusa heads start coming. When I did stop and wonder,
Is this
maybe I
level 2
like
or level 3 or stage 3? Because the
I'm talking about
Medusa
I'm
heads.
saying stages. Like, is it stage 1, you think?
Wait, where are the Medusa? Which ones are the Oh, yes, yes, yeah, okay,
The
yes,
thing
you're right.
heads.
Yes,
The
okay,
heads that come in waves.
right, yes, okay.
Um I mean, they're in a lot of the game, but the first time they appeared, I did think this might be as far as Will
Yeah,
gets
I
because
got
I
yeah,
was getting mad at them.
I got confused between the Medusas and the Queen Medusa, and that's why I was yeah,
Yes,
okay.
Queen Medusa is a boss, but then there's little
Yes,
Medusas.
there's little Medusas who come at you. Yes, um, never quite got the hang of how exactly I was supposed to hit them. Um, I could dodge them, but I could only dodge them. So it really was like, listen, if I'm in a corridor with a bunch of Medusa heads, then I can get through it and it's fine. But then if you put a second enemy or a platform, I'm in a lot of trouble and I'm not consistently getting past them.
Mhm.
Um, there were times where I would just like die over and over because I was like, I'm going to try to kill these things, even if I die, because if I can figure out how to do it, then I won't have to deal with them when I'm dealing with the second enemy. And I never really got the hang of that. Um, so in like the first point where I really had trouble was I think stage 2 of level 2. So this is stage 5 or whatever.
That's so confusing. Go on.
Yeah, whatever you want to fucking call it. And yes, there are Medusa heads and there are platforms you have to jump over. And there was a point in this game where I had spent probably 3/4 of my time playing the game trying to beat this one single screen. Because I was like, yeah, I mean it took me like, maybe 20 minutes or so of gameplay to beat level 1 and then get here and then start trying it. And then, I spent like probably, 40 minutes, an hour or something just failing this section over and over. I think I forgot to record a lot of that, but it didn't matter. You still have more than enough footage of me failing that jump.
You're saying, sorry, I missed where this was. Which stage was this?
Um, stage 5, second stage of level 2.
Okay. Well, okay. Here's, and I understand to some extent. Did you feel? Were you at least? I thought, oh, maybe he'll be delighted at the fact that you never have to redo the first area again because the continues are infinite in this game, which has not been our experience with anything else so far.
Yeah, I don't know if I was delighted so much as I wasn't like so angry that I was like,
Enraged?
fuck off. Yeah, exactly. I now I don't think that is there a save or password system that I missed in
No.
this? Okay.
You're
So
either playing it all in one go or
yes.
you don't.
Okay, that is what I thought. Yes, cuz like restarting and playing level 1 once not so bad. But the when I did finally manage to beat this section to the point where I actually beat level 2, the second boss, I was just like, all right, well, I'm not turning off this game ever again. Every attempt I put in on
Yeah.
level 3 is going to happen before, because if I have to beat
Yeah.
that again, I'm just not going to.
Yeah, why would you? I mean, when I do our games for this show, I just keep them on the whole week, basically. I don't like, what's the difference? It's just, I just have it in the background. Why would I close it? That's the week. That's my game. What's wrong
Maybe
with
I
that?
should have done that strat. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, we also look, folks. Sometimes we use emulators to play these games. The save states are a thing. It's not like if you're getting infinite continues, it's not cheating to make a save state at the point where you would have to continue from and close it if you want to. That's legal. That's allowed.
Maybe.
I mean, like,
I don't know.
like, this is another instance of you not helping yourself. But I guess you learned your lesson at some point.
I'm helping myself. I just like I can leave the game on because you could leave the console on. But if I want to turn it off, then that's, I
Well,
got to live with the
you probably
consequences of that.
couldn't. I can tell you as
Yeah.
someone who, as a kid, did leave the console on overnight. Sometimes it was leaving it on too long, fucked it up, and it wouldn't work anymore. So even that kind of isn't accurate to the experience.
Well, it's
Or your
fine.
mom might unplug it. Fucking bitch. Hey, come on. Don't say that about the moms. That's our mummy. Anyway, where were we? So the first boss is the Queen Medusa.
The first boss is a bat.
Oh, the first boss is a bat. Medusa's a boss, right? Did I make that up?
Yeah, I think so, right? Because, like,
Yeah.
no, after you beat the bat on stage 3, you start after having beaten it. And then once you beat the Medusa head, or the Queen Medusa, you start having beaten it. Yeah.
The problem is I spent so much more time on
Yeah.
like Frankenstein and later bosses that those first two I don't really remember what they were like.
Yeah. No, I
Um,
imagine these were not very hard for you. You probably breezed through them.
I mean, I'll tell you, I did at the time of this recording, I did not actually beat Castlevania.
Hmm.
I did get to the Dracula, the final boss, and
Ooh. The
he
Count.
has two the Count himself. He has two forms. I got to the point where I could consistently get him to his second form, but I stopped playing and I didn't see if I could finish him off. I may go back and do that just out of pride. Again, it's still open right now on my computer, so I could do it. But my and I also, I did some failure runs and a lot of replays of later levels, particularly a couple bosses are pretty annoying. My overall time, I think, of the whole game then was maybe somewhere between like 2.5 or 3 hours. If you're not a terrible gamer, it is not a very long game. And if once you get familiar enough repeating the levels and honing your problem areas, I ironically, for being the game with well, maybe it helps that it has the infinite continues because that's what helps me actually hone my
Hmm.
skills and not have to start from the beginning. But I think it's one of the less egregious, like, I guess this is true of anything we've played. If you're good at it, any of these Mario games or whatever, you can beat them in like an hour.
Hmm.
But it's certainly true of this one without even any tricks or anything. Like a few hours, I think is reasonable. Just to give the people an idea of the difficulty and length of this game for a normal person.
Yeah. No, my experience is more just like a point of interest. Uh,
It's the point of the podcast, though,
that's true.
really.
That's true. Yeah. No. Yeah. Like I will say though. I did not find the same degree of like when I beat something and like got something new in again, we're always going to come back to Mario cuz it's the gold standard for this sort of thing. When I beat something new in Mario and now I know how to do it, like there is some sense of accomplishment, whereas this time if I like turned off the game and started again and I'm like, okay, now I got to beat level 1 and I was like, okay, I did it. It was not that bad. I was kind of a pain in the ass the first time to get through this boss, but this time I just knew where everything was and it was whatever. It didn't feel to me like I didn't get this sense of accomplishment. Like, wow, I'm so much better now. I can run through this. It kind of just felt like cool. I don't have to worry about that. And I think that part of that does come down to the controls, right? Like mastering Mario's controls feels good because they feel good, whereas this is just like I know how to do it now. I can deal with it. Um, I don't know. I did find that to be like it is true. Like you can get through a section once you've done it, but I don't know. It wasn't as rewarding as I was thinking maybe it could be.
I think I found that was more rewarding for me on the later levels. Well,
Mm,
it's because the earlier levels I just kind of
mhm,
beat on my first, maybe second try.
mhm,
So I didn't get that sense because I literally just didn't have that experience. But I did have it later on especially when they get more challenging. There definitely were some sections where I thought like, I mean, the Medusas actually are a good one. Where when I first did the Medusa heads, I thought I fucking hate I still fucking hate them. They
mhm,
fucking piss me off and they are consistently fucking me up. But then when I did figure out, like you, the pattern of, okay, if I just move, I don't try to hit them, I can jump over them or step back and avoid them, that works. That did give me a feeling of, oh, I learned a pattern. I could get through this. I think it would be satisfying and rewarding for me personally to sit down and kind of play this game every once in a while from the beginning even and just see how far I could get. And I feel like after a while, not even that long, I probably could get to the end in one sitting.
mhm,
Well, I probably still would need a few continues, but so I did feel that. Also, the bosses too. Well, okay, let's, before we get to the bosses, let's talk about the enemies themselves, because I think that's maybe another part in addition to the controls of what makes the replaying maybe less satisfying, because I think the enemies are maybe more erratic, less predictable, and sometimes you'll move off screen and they'll spawn, or sometimes there'll be one and you actually move back a little and it despawns and it's gone. There's a little bit of jank, and also a lot of them can appear on screen at once.
Mhm.
Maybe more than we've seen in any other game so far. Maybe a couple screens of Metroid had a lot of things on it, but there can be like 40 ghouls and bats flying at you on one screen. That's an exaggeration. But you can have a lot of enemies coming at you from all sides as well. And maybe the fact that it doesn't feel like you feel less like, oh, I know this part. I know how to do this, because sometimes if you just turn a different way, all of a sudden this enemy is over here or over there. And it kind of feels more like just a bunch of random shit happening at you.
Yeah. Yeah, like, and one thing that I didn't necessarily think was so great, because you're saying a lot of the enemies have fairly erratic feeling patterns, and I think that is very true. Um, Also, again, sometimes very odd. Like, where do I need to aim to hit this thing with my stupid whip that I don't know where it is, and I don't know where the enemy is going to be, and blah blah blah. And what this game doesn't really do is like slowly introduce new enemy types. Right? Like
Uh,
it's kind of like the first time I saw a ghost was on a screen with like three different other kinds of enemies. The second time I saw a ghost was on a screen with the first time I saw a hunchback. And the second time I saw a hunchback was on the same screen as the first time I saw a like skeleton. Right. And so it's just like, okay, so I've like, you're not really giving me time to figure out what the hell is happening here. Uh,
there's a
like
lot.
there's just a lot and it's all new and I haven't figured this out yet. And I'm like, what the fuck? It's crazy. Yeah.
But nobody's really as distinct as like a Goomba and a Koopa have
hmm
very different behaviors that you approach very differently. And some of the later ones, I shouldn't say it is true actually. Like, a hunchback versus when you get to the axe man
hmm
or the skeletons or the dragon cannon skull thing.
hmm
They do have their own approaches, but at least in the first few levels, like some of the stuff like zombies and ghosts are kind of just, they're coming at you, hit them.
Yeah.
It is just kind
I
of a hodgepodge.
don't think I ever figured out how to deal with those dragon cannons, like just at all. And part of the problem is because like there was always a like other shit going on screen that I had to
hmm
pay attention to, and I was always already in trouble from some other shit that happened.
So the dragon cannons, they will shoot two fireballs
hmm
at a time, and you can theoretically jump over those. And usually, like right after they shoot one and you dodge them, then I would go up. And if you're at the right distance, which of course you have to be able to gauge, your whip will actually destroy the fireballs too. You don't even need to jump over them technically, but it's a little bit trickier. But if you just get in there tight right after they shoot and just like relentlessly whip, 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 I found that's the most consistent, effective way to take them out without getting hurt.
Yeah, because I did notice that sometimes my whip could hit a fireball, but I couldn't even come close to replicating that. When I tried jumping over the fireballs, I was just like, I don't know that my jump has enough distance to get over both fireballs, and I certainly have too much lag in between jumps to jump in over one and then and then like have time to jump over the second. So it felt like you couldn't jump over them. I guess I just needed
Mm.
better timing or
That's what I
position.
did. Yeah,
Yeah,
I did the one too.
didn't oh, really? That seemed like it was not possible, from yeah, I
Nope, it's
like,
possible.
the whole game just, like, I had no idea how anything was moving. It felt very clunky to me. And also, the primary way I dealt with them was by using the time
Yeah,
stopwatch,
yeah, that's good too.
and when I did that, what I found was if I used it and then walked up to them and spammed the whip, sometimes I could kill them before time unfroze, and sometimes I couldn't, and they would shoot me, and it felt like I was doing the exact same thing from the exact same distance every time, and I must not have been. I must have been getting one fewer hit or something, but it felt exactly the same, and so, like I said, I just never figured these
Um,
guys out.
it's possible another thing about these levels is you do get whip upgrades. You may have had a stronger or weaker whip at that time.
I think I had this experience with 2 in a row where one it worked and one it didn't, but I might be wrong about that. I don't know. I
Yeah,
tried to
I'm sure
always
you
have
are.
the whip upgrade, but
I think there's two. I think you can
mm,
get two whip upgrades. The first one is just better, and the second one is longer. But
gotcha.
as long as you break every like candle, I always want to say chandelier, but that's not what
Mhm.
they are. They're sconces, I suppose. But as long assuming you're like hitting all of those, I'm sure you got all the whip upgrades without even necessarily realizing it.
Yeah, I wasn't necessarily hitting all of them, but I was like hitting regular ones. If I was just like, yeah, every time I hit that, it just drops a heart, and I don't need a heart. What I need to do is get to the part where I died so I can try it again. But if I'm like, yeah, that one has a whip upgrade and I don't have a whip upgrade, then I would hit that. So,
Yeah, I shouldn't assume you're hitting all of them because you're
yeah,
also the
no.
guy who like skipped pipes and question marks in
Yeah.
Mario all the time.
Listen, when you have spent 40 minutes trying a single jump, I'm not hitting every single candle on the way to that jump every single time, right?
Sure. And if there's one thing we know about you, it's that if a game tries to give you something, you may just
Would
ignore it.
would any of those candles help me make that jump?
Yeah, you didn't get the jump candle?
Yeah, I mean, I'll tell you my experience with level 2 was that I died like a billion times to the platforming and the like crushers and stuff because it was difficult to time jumps and figure out where my character was. But when I got to the boss, I had like so little trouble with anything that didn't immediately kill me like instantaneously that I just got there with like 25 hearts and the stopwatch and just continuously froze time and hit it until it was dead. And because I was just like, yeah, I didn't need any of that for any of the enemies. Uh, I only died to the fucking platforming.
Yeah. It sounds very predictable for you.
hmm
I found that the stopwatch can be annoying because it takes 5 hearts to use, and that pissed
hmm
me off if I was low on hearts. I think generally speaking, the holy water, or I think the manual calls it firebomb,
hmm
but it's holy water, which is you throw it and it in an arc and it makes a little fire on the ground. I think that just is the best weapon in the game by far.
hmm
Especially for there's certain bosses, and I know this because I abused it for them, where if you throw the holy water, they'll just like get stuck in place, and it's so easy to kill them without
Interesting.
doing anything.
Yeah, I thought it was okay, but I was just like, yeah, obviously this is very, very strong, but it's not as like, I don't know, it's not particularly ranged and I have trouble placing it, which, gives it the same downsides as my whip. And I kind of preferred weapons where I'm like, yeah, but this has an upside to my whip. Like, it has range and I know where it's going, like the daggers.
The dagger is pretty good. The axes I found
Mhm.
sounded good, but I could not aim them properly.
I really liked the axe for the bat because the
Mm.
first boss, just because the main trouble I had with that stupid bat is that it would spend all its time too high to ever hit, and then it would spend like an instant swooping down, and I would just be like, I don't know where my weapon is, and I don't have reaction time, and so I have this like split second where I can do anything, and all that happens is I get hurt, and then I have to wait for like 10 fucking seconds for something to happen again and it was kind of boring. But if I had the axe, I could arc it into the air and just hit it while it sat around doing nothing. And I was like, okay, cool.
You sound like a gamer right now.
Hmm, that's pretty good, I guess.
The thing that drives me nuts is often I would have a weapon I liked, but then I'm
Hmm,
hitting every candle, and without thinking about it, I'd walk into one that I don't like as much, and I'm like, fuck, I didn't want to pick that up.
that's why you
That
don't
always
hit
pissed me
every
off.
candle. If you have a
Fuck
weapon,
you.
you
Shut
don't
the
hit
fuck
any of the
up.
weapon candles.
Shut up. Shut the fuck up. The other thing that's good about the holy water though is it sits there for a little bit. So there's
Hmm,
some enemies where you can throw it early and they'll die when they
hmm,
walk forward towards you. You don't have to necessarily hit them dead on. Anyway,
yeah.
another thing nice about this game that I thought maybe you would appreciate For as clunky as it maybe figuring the whip out is,
Mhm.
unlike Metroid, you can crouch and hit things that are low.
Yes, you can do that. Um, again, like, I liked that you could do that. I didn't like that sometimes I would look like you didn't need to crouch, but you did, and sometimes it would look like you did, but you didn't, and, the controls were slow
Mm.
enough to respond and my reaction time is bad that I often just like, when I first tried dealing with the hunchbacks, I had this serious issue of being like, I will crouch to hit when they jump, and I will, like, hit at normal height when they are down on the ground. And I just, like, would go back and forth just constantly missing them. But,
The
the idea
Hunchbacks.
that you can do that is good.
Mhm. I must be said that the Hunchbacks are fucks. of This is, in every game I feel like, especially old school games, there's that one enemy that
Mm.
everybody just hates. That's like, oh, that's the one. Usually a lot of times it's a flying enemy. It's like, fuck that one enemy that's just so hard to hit. And I feel like Castlevania has 7 of those.
It
That
could
every
be.
time I see them I'm just like, fuck. The first one is the Medusas. The other biggest one for me is those hunchbacks.
Mm.
In certain spots, once I did a level a million times, I knew like, okay, I go here, I back up a little, I crouch, I can hit him. Okay. But then so many times more, they would just do a jump when I didn't expect it and hit me, and they just pissed me off like nothing else. And
Ye
also, they look fucking weird. I don't know, like, how are you supposed to know they're a hunchback unless you look in the manual? They
yeah,
look like little monkeys or
yeah,
something.
I was like, yeah, they look like frogs or something because they jump around too, like frog. But yes, yeah, I had a lot of issues with them, and it's probably because with me, I'm doing the same section over and over so many more times, and also I'm not dealing with as much chaos as you probably are in later levels. I did figure out how to hit all of the hunchbacks and I learned how to hit them and when to disengage because they're just gonna run away and despawn, and, like, I
Mhm.
got to a point where that wasn't too bad. The Medusa heads, I never figured out. They were always too bad.
There is one section later that's a hallway with Medusa heads. And as you're walking down it, there's axe men, which are these knights that throw
Mhm.
axes at you. And I can't tell you how many times I had to attempt this hallway and look up strategies and read how people dealt with it and all these little tips. And it was so fucking annoying. And same thing with there's another place later on where it was hunchbacks, but then also up top is a skeleton throwing bones down at you. So
Mhm.
it is like you said, the more you can learn to deal with one thing, but as soon as they throw a second thing at you,
Mhm.
it's all out the window. Um, I think another weak point of the game, honestly, is the boss fights. I think that they basically are either kind of easy and you just get through them, or you figure out an exploit and just do it, or it's extremely punishing and you need to get to it with full health. And if you don't know the exact patterns, you're fucked. And there's not really, I didn't find for me an in between where I just thought it was fun to learn the patterns. I found them either, well, I just beat them and it's over, or they piss me off a lot.
Mhm.
Did you get to Frankenstein?
No. I fought 2 bosses. I fought the bat, which
Mm,
was kind of obnoxious because it wasn't like, once I knew where the weapon I wanted was and how to get it, it wasn't too bad, but, like, yeah, it was mostly just annoying because I was just like, I would love to learn this pattern, but all I can do is get hit. Like, most of the time I stand here doing nothing. And once I figured it out, I was like, okay, fine. And the second one was the Medusa, which I just spammed the stopwatch and never had to learn a pattern because it never moved. So the bosses in this game were
Frankenstein.
entirely unmemorable. Yeah.
Frankenstein was the first one that I really ran into trouble with. He's because it's not just Frankenstein; it's also Igor, and Igor is a hunchback. And as Frankenstein is just kind of moving back and forth and can hurt you, Igor is jumping up and down all over the stage, shooting fireballs at you. And I just had to really get there with as much health as I could was the most important part, and then kind of just get lucky throw a bunch of daggers was what I had and just learn to dodge the fireballs. And I kind of did. Now, the Grim Reaper is one that I literally just saw you can freeze him with holy water. And I was like, because the Grim Reaper, the hallway I was talking about before with the Medusas and the Axemen, the Grim Reaper is directly at the end of it. So I was just like, there is no fucking way I'm getting to this guy with enough health and doing this fucking hallway a dozen times to learn his patterns. I'm taking the easy way out. I don't really care. The Count himself, Dracula,
The Count.
he's kind of a good boss, I think. The best thing about him, though, which another example of this game being nice, it gives you, when you die at Dracula, you start right before Dracula, even if you lose all your lives. So it's the last boss of the game, and that really helps me be like, maybe I will actually beat the game because I don't have to play a whole level. I can just keep fighting Dracula immediately until I learn how to beat him. In that sense, I do think that the continues thing really is that maybe that's this game's biggest innovation, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, it is true that maybe I'm not giving it credit. Maybe where I'm looking at it and being like, it didn't enrage me. I should be looking at it and saying, yeah, but it's the first game to do the thing that I expect. Maybe I should give it some credit for that.
You're constantly bitching about that. I was like,
yeah,
being so happy.
I'm bitching about it because it's meets expectations. That meets expectations isn't praiseworthy.
Good Lord. So stingy. Give a little praise. It's okay. It's fine to do. I do like that, and by like, I mean, I don't understand, but think it's funny, that they show you, and I think this is a thing in a lot of Konami games at the time. I think they kind of used a similar engine here for a lot of their games, that you see the boss's health displayed at the top of the screen the entire level, the whole game. Even when it's impossible to even find them or fight them, you always know they got full health until you get there.
I didn't even really note that because
You didn't note that? What did you think the enemy meter was at the top of the screen?
I mean, I probably saw it, but I honestly wasn't I was just like, not relevant information. Not relevant yet.
It says there's right under your health is another health bar. It says enemy. What did you think that was?
I didn't think about it. It wasn't relevant. It didn't matter.
What the fuck?
I probably noted, there's enemy. Oh yeah, that's for the bot. Who cares? And just never thought about it again. Not important.
All right.
I'm putting all my focus on not falling into this pit. And failing, by the way. I can't be thinking about health bars.
This is something I should have seen coming. Perhaps I did. But it's another point to show just how much platforming literally trips you up, because sometimes I become Christopher Walken. To me, Castlevania, this Castlevania in particular, and probably most all of them really, is an action game first and a platformer second. I don't think of platforming as the primary genre of this series. It's like, there are jumps and stuff, but I feel like it's maybe 60-40 fighting, jumping versus let's probably reverse in something like Mario. I'd say it's like 70-30. And also, you don't need, that's a big difference with the enemies. You don't need, I guess you need timing still, but it's not the same precision I think that's required to land on something's head. You can just stand in one spot and hit them. I mean, that gets complicated, I guess, later on. But I don't know. Do you just think of this? That's just another platform. Like, to you, it's the same thing.
I would agree with you. This is primarily action. There's only a little bit of platforming. It's just that, like, when the platforming does show up, the difficulty spikes dramatically for me. Because it's just like, yes, the simple act of jumping over pits is as hard as dealing with 5 enemies on screen. So if you give me 1 enemy in a pit, oh my God, it's impossible. Can't do it.
I do get, the other thing that really pisses me off is that the enemies will if they hit you,
Mhm.
knock you backward.
Oh, yes. I have a lot of deaths to this.
Yeah, and yeah, there are times when you're on a platform and it hits you and you're
Mhm.
dead. There you
Yeah.
go.
Yeah.
Pissed me
I
off.
I had, what I do have on I don't have all of my dying on that, for footage, but what I do have on footage is the little tantrum I threw where I just started, running the level from the beginning, not fighting any enemies or picking anything up until I got to the same pit and jumping in the pit as soon as I got there over and over again. I have at least 1 or 2 of those that are damageless too. I was pretty proud of my ability to do that.
Have you considered therapy?
I got past it in the end.
New Patreon
This
tier?
is my therapy, jumping in the pit over and
Right.
over again.
Oh, I thought you meant doing this podcast.
No, no. That's what I need the therapy for.
For me, it's therapeutic. I think it's good. Yeah. Mhm.
I'm curious. I hope that there are going to be some moments of my gameplay footage you look at and are proud of. But I do
Hmm.
think that probably like 90% you're gonna look at and be like, "Oh my god, why? What's wrong with you?"
I mean, I probably will. I'm sure that I will. It's hard to
Mhm,
say
mhm.
because I do agree with you that I mean, that I got frustrated playing this game and I had many deaths that I thought were cheap or annoying. Um, so I can't say that isn't my experience, but you always manage to surprise me. Do you think this is a game we should do a bonus video for? I don't know if it's
I'm
worth it.
I'm so curious because like I know you would get very upset, right? And that's always fun. On the other hand, I don't guarantee that I would make literally any progress in only the time it would take to do a video. So, I don't know.
Well, I could maybe get you to another level and we could see how
Mm,
you do in a later level.
I just have this sneaking suspicion that you would tell me exactly what to do, and I'd be like, yep, I knew that's what you were supposed to do. That's what I've been trying to do for the past half hour. I just didn't. Couldn't
Yeah.
do it. Could be wrong.
Yeah.
Could be wrong. We'll see.
Yeah. Who's to say that doesn't make for a good video though?
Who is to say? Comment on our videos. Write us an email. Tell us what you like us to do.
What's your feelings on the graphics and sound of this game, the presentation? Because think the graphics are quite good for an NES game. It's got that very spooky Halloween vibe to it. There is a lot of screen tearing and stuff from when you see a lot of enemies on screen. That's not the prettiest, but I like the designs. I like the sprites. All things considered, the slowdown could be a lot worse than it actually is. And I think the music is kind of sick, especially that opening level song.
Hmm.
Pretty fucking good. So in terms of like, I think I give a lot of points to Castlevania just for the vibe. If you're looking for something to play like as a Halloween game, it's I don't it's other than a game that's actually scary. It maybe is hard to beat this one just for the sheer amount of Halloweeniness it has.
Yeah, we Halloween. I mean, listen, as much as it's fun to like, watch a scary movie, like a really scary movie. The joy. Halloween is about joy. It's not about fear. It's about seeing a Frankenstein and being like, hee hee, look, there's a bat, there's a pumpkin, woo, spooky. You shouldn't actually. That's the fun part. I would
Yeah.
agree with you. It's really hard for me to get a sense on the graphics because I don't see enough from this era. So many things are just like, what am I comparing it to? Well, I'm comparing it to Mario, again, gold standard, and I'm comparing it to Metroid, and I don't have a ton of points of comparison on that. Um, in terms of the enemy designs, I would say they're likable enough. I like them. None of them to me stand out as like, you know, iconic or revolutionary, but they are fun. Like, so I don't
Yeah.
mind them. Um, the backgrounds are decent. Inside the castle, it can sometimes be on any given level. It can be a little bit samey. It's like, okay, I'm in a castle, but it does feel like you're in a castle. The opening bit when you're walking up to the castle door does give you the
Mm.
atmosphere of it
Yeah.
gives you a similar atmosphere to like once you know th- that you're the hero and that's the Dracula from the box art, like you do feel like you're walking into the castle on the box. Um
Yeah.
and I do got to give a lot of credit to the music. You know, when I'm sitting there for an hour trying the same thing over and over and over again, I am just humming the music to myself, even though it's the same damn music on a loop. Um, and I did also like, and I assume this continues, but every level has a different song. Like the first three levels all had different
Mhm.
music. So it was, which is especially fun if you have spent over an hour just the same song on a loop, humming it. Ooh, different stuff now. Haha, I've advanced.
Yeah, well, to ground you a little bit or position you here in the
hmm
timeline,
hmm
this is 1 year after Super Mario Brothers, same year as Metroid, 2 years before Mario Brothers 2, as far as NES games we've played goes,
hmm
a year before Final Fantasy. So I think like it's certainly, in my opinion, more interesting to look at than Metroid was. I think
hmm
better to look at than the original Mario. Mario Brothers 2 is maybe a little, it's cleaner and sharper and less messy,
hmm
less just kind of jumbled and crappy sometimes. So I do think that has the edge. But for the considering what its contemporaries were, I think it's pretty strong. And yeah, even again, don't, I'm not saying the music is better than Mario's music, but you think about if you played Mario the year before, there's like what, 3 songs in that game really that repeat? And here you do, not only do you have more songs, they also sound a lot more like music. Like it has kind of that MIDI NES chip version of, it sounds like there's bass and stuff like that. You know, it's more, they're more complex,
hmm
I think. So I was a fan, and I also like in between levels they show you the map of the castle and that you're
Oh
actually
yes, yes.
moving up it, and it that I think is huge because
hmm
it's not just a series of levels floating in a void. You actually get a sense from just this little transition. You're like, oh, I am not just making progress because the game told me I am. I can actually see my path up the castle. That's cool.
Yeah, like I do agree with that because if when you're comparing this to Mario, it's like in Mario you're going left to right, and when you get there, it's like okay, next castle. Where are these castles? Where are you within the castle? I don't know. Next castle. You're moving left to right. In here, you are sometimes climbing up, right? You are sometimes climbing down. You are sometimes going right to left, back and forth, because you're winding through the castle. And that little mini map of the castle you see in between, like all of that together helps ground you, right? You can kind of see like, oh yeah, that is the shape of the levels that I took, right? Or the
Yeah.
areas, whatever, the screens that I was on. They went in that shape because I have to get through this whole castle. And even though it's still very linear, yeah, it gives you more of a sense of place.
Pretty cool. Did you get a chance to try the multiplayer mode?
Uh I saw that the multiplayer mode was switch back and forth in the manual.
Yeah, yeah. Well, actually, there is no multiplayer mode.
Oh,
So,
I didn't try to do
in,
it.
in the manual, it says that you can switch to two player mode, and you go back and forth. And that was apparently just a mistake in the manual. There's never was a 2 player mode.
I never even bothered to look. That's pretty funny.
Yeah, that is kind of funny. I'm seeing. It looks like here I'm now looking at an. I guess it was a later printing of the manual because it doesn't mention it anymore. So I guess they
Mhm.
they realized their mistake.
They figured it out, yes. I mean, I do love in the manual, right after introduction, it says, "Good evening."
Hmm.
Lots of
Hmm.
E's.
It's funny because I feel like as Castlevania went on, it really developed an identity of, yeah, it's this gothic horror thing. There's always vampires and Draculas,
Mhm.
but I'm trying to think what I would compare it to, and I'm not sure I will come up with it. But more of like a classical, almost literary, almost more like the actual source material of Dracula
Mhm.
versus this game, which is just so silly. There's Frankenstein and mummies and all this shit. It really does not represent what the series became later on, which I think is kind of rare that a series really reinvented itself to such an extent that most people don't even look back at this or think of it in their mind anymore.
Yeah. I mean, I do love this vibe. Like, again, I'm looking at the introduction in the manual where you've arrived at Castlevania and you're here on business. Unfortunately, everybody's home this evening. Bats, ghosts, every kind of creature you can imagine. You'll find them all over the place if they don't find you first. Like, that very much just is like Party City Halloween
Yeah.
decoration. But that is kind of my vibe. I like that.
Yeah, it's silly fun.
hmm
It's silly fun. Who gave him this magic whip?
Indiana
I think
Jones.
we that's what it is. I think we find out that, the Belmonts they're a whole clan, and later on you play different Belmonts, and there's a whole history of Dracula
Sure.
fighting.
I mean, it does say here that the Count has waited 100 years for a rematch. So, maybe there's some
Yeah.
lore there.
How about some more of these items we haven't discussed? Some of them I find are completely useless. There's the cross, which destroys everything on screen,
Fuck
which
that
seems
cross.
great, except it pretty much would only come out when like nothing was on screen or one thing was on
Yeah, they
screen.
love making the last enemy on screen drop that when it dies.
Then there's the even less helpful, I think, invisibility potion, which makes you invincible, I guess, for a few seconds. But whenever I got it, it was just in a place where it didn't matter. It was never helpful to me.
One time I
Um,
got it like in the middle of the corridor of Medusa's with the bones at the end.
Whoa.
And I was like just at exactly the right time. And I was like, oh, fuck, how did that happen? I'm out of here. That
Pretty
was the
good.
only time it was helpful.
I still do not really understand. Maybe I should have looked into this more. You can get the double shot and triple shot, which allow you to throw weapons twice or three times in a row. I guess that means you can throw them faster. But I got those and I never really noticed a difference.
Yeah, I wasn't sure what was up with that.
It sounds good, but it didn't. Maybe I just wasn't rapid fire throwing them enough, so it didn't matter to me. I don't know. And of course, the best item in the game you find hidden in parts of the walls: pork chops,
hmm
which are your health. I feel like the iconic one later on is you find like a rotisserie chicken in the walls.
It's basically the same thing, right? A piece of meat with a bone sticking out of it.
Yeah, yeah.
That's not really what a pork chop is.
Yeah,
But
it
this
looks
is
more
a
like a chicken, like a
yeah,
drumstick or something.
yeah.
I don't. Yeah, what the fuck? I wouldn't know about pork chops. I eat kosher.
Right. Yeah.
Other than bacon. I mean, I eat bacon.
That's kosher, right?
Yeah, I don't eat pork chops because I think it would offend Doug Funny.
Mm,
Honk honk.
yeah.
His friend Skeeter, remember?
Right. No, I remember.
um, I do think, as far as this concept is concerned, this version of Castlevania, for me, it was really perfected in the aforementioned Super Castlevania 4, which I hope we will get to play at some point, and I want to hear sort of your response to it because it's on a new console. It's much more refined, much more streamlined. The controls are much better. I don't feel like 2 and 3 are worth playing. I feel like 2 in particular is sort of infamously bad thanks to a certain angry video game nerd.
Which one might that be?
Oh, not one of the ones on the show,
Oh, okay.
but another one.
Probably some loser then. Not even
I
on the
feel like
show.
I feel like we skipped those, but I would at some point like to play 4, and then of course Symphony of the Night is really the most important one that we'll have to get to at some point. Yeah, I don't know. Any final things we need to address? Any enemies we didn't discuss? I mean, we didn't talk about the fish man.
Oh yeah, the fish man. He was
I
there.
do love that. I
That's
also
the
love that
creature
it's
from
not
the
just
Black
Mummy.
Lagoon.
Yeah, they could have said, I guess that's copyright.
Yeah, I
Maybe?
guess. He's a fish man.
Instead of just mummy, it's also Mummy Man.
Mummy man. I love him.
He's got his hands on his hips in
Yeah,
here.
he's
He's looking
great.
proud. There's white skeletons. The red skeletons respawn. So like after you kill them, they
Oh,
come
I see.
back.
I was gonna say the white skeletons also respawn if you accidentally walk back too far and then come back to where they are, but okay. Sure.
Yeah. Yeah, but it's really those hunchbacks are the ones that I think that's my most hated. Medusas are a close second.
Well,
The fishmen I like.
I hope you'll be proud of how I figure out how to handle the hunchbacks eventually.
I mean,
Maybe.
is it because there's that one part where they're sitting up on the ledges,
Mm-hmm.
and that part you can learn to kind
Okay.
of
Okay.
wait and get them. Yeah,
Well, you'll see
they're a little
how
more predictable there.
if I can do it, but
Yeah, I don't know. I might not watch that video. Oh, Castlevania.
Yeah, I do actually have one other related question about this game.
Oh yeah,
Uh, whatever happened to the Transylvania twist?
yeah. Whatever happened to the Transylvania twist?
That's not how it is in the song, but that's okay.
The coffin, the garlic bulb. The man made of fish. Okay. Let's hear your final thoughts on Castlevania right now, as well as if you would be so kind as to contribute for us your IGN rating so as to give me and the listeners and the viewers an idea of, as the new gamer, as a novice to Castlevania, how'd you feel about this game overall?
Yeah, good question.
I thought it was good. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean it had pros and cons. It's got fun theming, it's got decent music. There are enjoyable elements to playing it. There were points where it was kind of, it had both that certain sections had that negative combination of being both boring and frustrating, right? Where if it's frustrating but interesting, it's like cool, I love it. And if it's kind of boring, it's like yeah, but then you just get through it and it's no big deal. um it wasn't as rewarding to get through as I would have liked it to be, but on the whole it's pretty decent. I don't think that it's great, but it didn't like piss me off either. Um, let's see here. What if I were to give Castlevania, oh, let's say,
Mm,
you know what? What if I
I know.
tie score for the first time
Oh,
and just nah, I don't think it deserves that. I'm gonna
what
give
the fuck?
Castlevania a 6.9.
I was kind of hoping you might give it a 6.66.
Oh, you know what? You know what? We've
Gonna,
changed.
you gonna lower your score because I said that?
We've changed what it is. Yeah, no, it's gonna be a 6.9, I think.
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I think that's a very fair score. I was as always, I brace myself each week going into this, preparing myself to be berated and threatened by you.
You know me.
And so I am relieved that didn't quite happen this week. I do like this Castlevania game quite a bit. It is absolutely flawed. It is clunky. Its biggest enemy is the controls, but I adjusted to them. And even though the platforming and stuff was annoying, I enjoyed the process of, I think, especially because you don't have to repeat those early levels. It did really help me to then the later ones that I was repeating, I didn't feel as bad, and I actually started to feel good about learning them and being able to do them well after a period of time. And like I said, it does get a lot of bonus points just for the theme and the vibe and the atmosphere. So I'm gonna give Castlevania 7 points. A 7.666.
Ooh.
That's right. Pretty spooky, huh?
It is kind of spooky.
And to be clear, that's a 7.6 repeating. So it's infinite
Yeah.
666s.
Right. Infinite. Yeah. Right. Correct.
The scariest number.
Well, it'd be scary if it started with a 6, but that's okay.
No, because then you'd be expecting it. Here you think you're safe, and then it comes at you.
Right, 7's
That is
also pretty
something-
scary, and I think we all know why.
Uh-oh. Don't mention it, please.
Oh, okay. I won't talk
I might
about
shit myself.
9 and its horrible fate. A little
Don't
too
get-
much.
Don't get Gen Alpha in here. I'm praying you don't get Gen Alpha in here right now. I don't want to hear what they have to say about any of these numbers, if you know what I mean.
No, I don't want to hear that either, actually. I'd rather you not bring it up.
One thing we didn't also address that we could is, while it's not overt, there is clearly a Christian overlay to this game, which is something that's common when you are dealing with vampires and Dracula, but they don't shy away from it. You do pick up holy water and a lot of stuff that is either explicitly a cross or is just shaped like a cross. This is it's kind of, a lot of times in this era, a lot of Japanese games, when they came here, they would localize them to remove any references to religion. That was like I think especially in RPGs where there would be a lot of praying in churches and stuff, they would alter that because they didn't want to offend anybody. And here they know it's a cross. It's pretty, I guess if you don't know about religion, you wouldn't understand it, but
I mean, maybe holy water, but yeah, I just it's so, vampires are so tied into that kind of iconography. Like, everybody knows a cross repels vampires, right? And to the point where it's like, you could take a moment and forget that it's because of Jesus. You just be like, yeah, crosses repel vampires. They don't like them. They burn them off. The power of this cross thing that I held up. Why is that? I don't know. Vampires. Oh, right, because Jesus scares them or something. I don't know. But you kind of forget. It's like, yeah, they can't enter without an invitation. They die to a wooden stake through the heart. They don't like garlic. They don't like crosses. They don't like daylight. It's just vampire things.
Just vampire things. Hashtag. Yeah. I guess you're right, and I guess that's why they left it in, is because it's just like you said, it's so widespread that it's whatever.
Mm-hmm. But I mean, it is true that I can see that Christianity definitely has a vibe in America that is different from Europe, that is different from the rest of the world. Our very lovely American Protestantism that we love so much.
It's so good. Honestly, just the fact that they depict crosses in this game does feel weirdly, I don't know, subversive for the time. Like it was, I do feel like because, at this point in time, video games were still 100% treated as just a thing for kids. And especially in America, they tried so hard to whitewash them and soften up any edges. The fact that they were willing to depict crosses in it is, I don't know, it's something that they got away with it.
Yeah, it almost feels like it should be going the other way, right? The idea, given the time frame, it's not like people are going to be like, how dare you put a cross in the game? It feels more like people would be like, yeah, the game is demonic. Right? It's demonic because it has Dracula in it. It's teaching our kids to worship Satan. And then you can say, no, because see, in the game, the character can pick up the cross and the holy power of the cross repels Dracula. So it's teaching them, see, so it's okay, see?
Yeah, I don't think there was any controversy about this game.
Yeah, but here's the thing. There could have been. Like, we are, like, I don't know the exact time frame for the Satanic Panic, but, like, we are right up near it at this time, so
Well, D&D was the 70s, and that was, I feel like,
Mhm.
wasn't that the peak of it? Or
That
was it more
was
the 80s, maybe?
I mean, that was a big part of it too, yeah. D&D, was a big thing.
Yeah. Thank God we didn't let it affect our beloved Harry Potter.
Right, yeah. Thank
Remember when they were
God for
trying to
that.
ban those books because they thought they were satanic? Why, they were helping children read, and we love them for it.
Uh-huh. Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah, because they do
Yeah,
magic, and you
right,
know that you can't suffer a witch to live.
right.
It's gonna teach
What?
kids to make a pact with the devil so that they can do magic, because magic is cool.
Castlevania was known in Japan as Akumajo Dracula,
That's pretty cool.
which I believe translates to Demon Castle Dracula.
Yes, Majo or Maho or something like
Oh,
that is
here we
magic.
go. This guy
Akuma
knows
is demon or
Japanese.
something? It feels like it's a pun.
Oh yeah,
I
why do
don't
I
know.
feel like Akuma is a name I've seen in
Yeah,
some
it's
video game or
that isn't
something?
that some boss in or like character
Oh,
in
there's a
like a
Street
Street
Fighter
Fighter? Yeah.
character. Yeah,
Yeah, because
Akuma.
yeah, is like
Oh.
demon or devil or
Wow.
some shit. Listen, there's
Oh.
reasons I know these words. It's not just because I'm a loser nerd.
Wow. Well, I liked it when I figured it out and I didn't have to
Yeah.
listen to you explain it.
Yeah. Well, see, if you'd remembered that character, you'd have been like, you would have known too. See,
Well, we didn't get to Street Fighter yet,
right?
so
That's true.
how could I have possibly remembered it? Castlevania, when it was released, was a big success. Do you know about Famitsu? I don't think we've talked about Famitsu yet.
Sort of.
Yeah, well, they're sort of the most highly esteemed video game magazine in Japan.
Hmm.
It's always a big deal. They review things out of 40 for some reason. But it's always like, oh shit, something got a 40 out of 40 in Famitsu.
Mm.
That's a big deal. I don't think it is anymore. I feel like that's more common now, but it's at one point it was like a big mark of quality.
Is this one of
Um,
those scoring systems where it's like there's four categories and they're each worth 10 points or something?
I don't know. I think actually, I believe what it is four people review it.
Mm.
And so they add up their
I see.
scores.
I see.
Yeah. So I don't know. I'm just talking about shit I don't even understand.
It's
But
fine.
anyway, Castlevania in 1986 was their highest rated game of the year. So again, what was kind of a big deal at the time. I've got a little blurb here as far as classic reviews go from this complete guide to consoles, which we've referenced before for other games, which came out in 1989, and it's just a little blurb, and they say they called it a brilliant arcade adventure. I know it's not in the arcade, so I guess that was just the way you describe games.
Hmm.
A huge playing area and lots of neat touches will keep you engrossed for weeks. Don't be put off by the gaudy graphics. It's the gameplay that counts, and it's great. Overall score 80%.
Can you imagine a review that came out and said, "Now listen, guys, I know the graphics are good. I know that pisses you all off,
No, 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 no,
but
no, no, no. This says they're gaudy.
oh, they're gaudy. Okay. It
Yeah.
kind of the way it was phrased, I was kind of thinking like, oh, look, this game has like graphics. Isn't that gaudy that it actually has good ones? Aren't they supposed to just be pixels? I don't know about this.
That is kind of the sense. It's like they're ostentatious.
Yeah.
Like, oh, you think you're so fucking special? You have graphics? Oh, we're all impressed.
Right. Yeah.
Oh, I can tell what that is instead of it being just a blob. Okay. Big deal. Not impressed. It is weird to refer to graphics as gaudy, as if it's something you're
Yeah.
putting on the counter in your foyer when guests arrive.
Yeah, like,
Like, oh.
it feels like the only reason you would describe something like that nowadays is if you were like the game is, whatever, style over substance. Like, the graphics are gaudy specifically because they're masking the fact that there's no game. Like, they're not like, it's not in and of itself, look at how high quality or how much or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe you would. I don't have a good example, but it feels weird. It doesn't feel like something I've heard.
Another criticism that the game had in some places was something we brought up briefly, the fact that you can collect points, but they just don't matter.
Hmm.
Uh, which you do have a score in the corner of the screen, and often you will find items that give you points, which I still found myself collecting because I'm like, thing dropped, must pick up. But it would be nice if maybe that gave you an extra life. Like, that feels like such an easy solve that would be like, immediately I actually care about that instead of just being like, ah, well, whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, I wonder. It feels like this is the solution to a problem that, like, the modern day version is the solution to this problem is speedrunning, right? Where it's like, okay, I'm good enough at this game that I can beat it now, but you can get so much better than just beating it. So how do I compete? And at the time, it was like, I have no fucking clue how you do something like that, how you push it. So we'll put a score, I guess. Like, I can beat the game, but can you get a higher score than what's the highest score you can get? And it's like, that sucks and isn't interesting, as opposed to being like, what's the fastest time or something, which is the more modern way that people would optimize once they can play. In this
Yeah.
particular case, at least, not necessarily in arcade games where it's like that's fucking all there is, but for something like this, it's like, you need something. I don't know.
It feels like this was still, we were just trapped in an era where scores were just so much a part of every video game. They
Hmm.
were afraid to let it go. They couldn't envision a world where games didn't have scores because they just always had them.
Yeah.
Uh, Maybe this was one of the first times people finally were playing it like, you know what? Why?
Yeah, I mean, it would have been nice for them to branch out into flavor on score or something and just be like, yeah, all the monsters have bounties on them, so you get money for killing them, and it drops bags of money, which gives you more money. So at the end of every level, it counts up how much money you've earned. Can you spend it?
Mm.
No, no. But you end up with some money at the end of the game. Right? Like, just, something like that.
It would be cool if it was like you need to get all this money to pay for the demolishing of the castle or something.
Oh,
You'll
yeah.
get the deed. You got to pay an accountant to
Yeah.
sort out the realtor or something.
I don't know if that is as cool as
That
something
doesn't
else you
sound
could be
cool.
doing. Yeah.
Well,
Restore
in
the
Louis,
Belmont family fortune that Dracula stole. I don't know. That sounds
oh,
cooler than.
that's pretty good. That's pretty good. In Luigi's Mansion, which is another great Halloween game, you suck up money from every room, and at the end of the game, the more money you got, the better mansion you get.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. Luigi's Mansion is great. We should play it.
Well, next year.
Anyway, you know what I'm not even going to say what mine is. I'm going to ask you, what's the best part of Halloween?
I mean, honestly, the best part of Halloween is giving trick or treaters candy. Like, there is nothing.
No,
It
no,
is.
no,
It
no,
is.
no, no,
There's
no,
nothing
no,
that brings me joy like being
no,
able to
no.
vicariously live my youth. When I like, it was so
Ew.
fun to have like that
Pedophile?
kind of freedom and roam the neighborhood in a costume, and you don't like, you can just be out and about, and it's
Hmm.
on your own walking through the streets, and you're in a fun costume, and being able to just see like wave after wave of kids have that experience, and to facilitate that, like, that's great. That's just so good. I never miss an
Hmm.
opportunity to give out candy.
Yeah. And then you know what happens to those kids when you give them candy. They end up at the dentist And we know what happens at the dentist's office, don't we, folks?
It's
a vicious cycle.
I
It
feel
is
like
a vicious cycle.
you were projecting some kind of weird childhood trauma.
I'm reading between the lines.
Nobody else sees anything between these lines but you.
Well, you're denying
There's
it.
just something
I think
odd
that says
going
something
on with you, and I don't
think
really
you doth
get
protest too much.
It's just so strange.
I just think guy who won't admit something about his dentist also really likes giving kids candy. Weird vibes there.
Just not a connection anyone else in the world would have made.
Well, I'm sort of a Sherlock Holmes in that way. I tend to, once you eliminate the impossible, all that is left is the truth.
Listeners, write in and tell us if you think John has some weird hang-ups about dentists.
Anyway, you were wrong about the candy, so what's the actual best thing about Halloween?
I don't know. Why don't you tell me?
It's obviously the Halloween songs.
That's up there, too. Maybe second best.
Idiot. Well, you should have said it second, then.
You know what? I'm going to tell you what. You can play Halloween songs while giving out candy. And you should. And if you aren't doing it, you're doing it wrong.
Well, here's the thing. Don't you get tired of the same ones every year, year after year? Just say yes.
I do. I'm always looking for a new Halloween song to put on my Halloween playlist.
Well, guess what? I've got a treat for you because this week I developed a brand new, wholly original Halloween song based off of Castlevania, and I'm going to play it for you and our listeners and viewers right now. Are you excited?
Of course.
Okay, then link right up and get ready for this song. Ooh. Some things are better off dead. There's a whip in my hand, gonna crack it at your head. You think you're safe in your castle, kicked down the door to murder you assholes in Romania when the sun goes down. Monsters and creeps think they run this town. Put them back underground in a graveyard, cause you make me frown. In western Transylvania, the Frankensteins and Draculas throw fire bombs and morning stars at Frankensteins and Draculas. Draculas. Lurking in shadows, jumping and crawling, knocking me backward, now I'm falling. Ghosts, bats, hunched backs, you ought to fix that. Things are groaning, heads are floating, and bones are flying. Need a pork chop, cause I am dying. How much can you eat? In western Transylvania, the Frankensteins and Draculas, they work with bats and Medusas. The Frankensteins and Draculas. 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 When spooks and spirits come about, they make you want to scream and shout. Try not to cry, hold up and cushy. Simon Belmont's here, you pussy. He'll whip those ghouls and make it sting. That's like his family's whole thing. Go run and hide, pathetic loser. He'll take care of those Draculas. In western Transylvania, the Frankensteins and Draculas. Ooh, western Transylvania, Frankensteins, Draculas. Draculas. I find hearts in lights and hearts in stones, breaking shit till the count comes home. I killed Medusa, I killed death, mummy man, awful breath. I beat every stage and every level. I love Jesus Christ, I don't like the devil. Catholicism. In western Transylvania, the Frankensteins and Draculas. I really think that they're too much. Frankensteins, Draculas. 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 I'll see you next time, Simon Belmont.
So I'll tell you what. You give me a version of that censors the word asshole and pussy, and I'll play it out on my porch when I give out Halloween candy to kids.
What, you don't think kids can handle that kind of language?
You can keep the part about Jesus Christ and Catholicism. That's fine. I don't give a shit about that.
All right, I'll release the censored version.
The
just
family
that's an
friendly
exclusive
cut
for you. And everyone at home, you're gonna have to add it in. You're gonna censor it yourself. You'll have to add in. Maybe I should do an alternate edit, like a radio version where I do say different words. That could be good. Maybe that's a Patreon exclusive. Yeah. I gotta tell you, multiple times I've thought about using West End girls for one of these and could never make it work until clearly now I found the perfect thing.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It worked well. It was good.
It's kind of a spooky sounding song. Truly.
I liked when you rhymed losers with Dracula. That was good.
Yeah, I like my Vincent Price breakdown.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is kind of a spooky song. It's got that. Yeah, there's definitely that kind of like 80s synthy vibe that Halloween songs should have, you know?
Yeah. That is a thing. Of course, I most associate that song with the strip clubs in Grand Theft Auto 4.
Right, because you're a gamer.
Right. And I spent a lot of time in there. If you liked that song and you'd like to have it in a unique version all by itself, you should check out our secondary YouTube channel, Worse with Games. You'll see that video plus all our other song parodies, plus additional bonus videos of us playing games, full hour-long videos of us playing games together. When maybe we'll do one for Castlevania. I don't know. We might not, though, but there will be more of them at some point in the future. You can also get on our Patreon, patreon.com/badwithgames. $5 a month. You get an extra episode every single week about a different subject. This week, we're covering Peter Jackson's King Kong.
Ooh, that's kind of scary. What if King Kong gets me?
Yeah, he might. Honestly, King Kong wouldn't feel out of place in Castlevania.
I would have loved a Kong level.
Yeah. We're still going Kong crazy over there is the thing.
Mm-hmm.
And you'll get in our Discord where we're talking about stuff. For instance, something I should have mentioned earlier, but I'll mention it now. I was talking to the folks in the Discord about CRT filters and the like for when you're playing older games on newer TVs and monitors. There's, of course, filters you can use to make it look more traditional, more like how it would have looked when you were playing it in the 80s and 90s, which is often how those games were designed. They were using that design aesthetic as they planned it because that's what people would be seeing at the time. This week for Castlevania, I actually did apply sort of, I think, a subtle one that adds like a little blur kind of. So maybe you'll see the difference between my footage and Will's footage. And I don't know. I don't know what people will like or if you would like it. I think with you, Will, your eyes are so terrible you wouldn't even know the difference. But just something I'm playing with. And so if you have thoughts on that, check out our Discord or comment on YouTube or whatever. And I think that's it. Not that long an episode this week. It was pretty straightforward.
Yeah,
maybe we got this thing, a handle on this thing now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's no way that we're going to go out of control and start putting out 2.5-hour episodes again. Like we've got it under control. We've got a lid on it. It's all good now. Smooth sailing.
This is when everyone hears that and says, oh, I guess that they're trying to tell me to write another 4-paragraph email next week.
Fucking Christ.
You can do that, though. badwithgamespodcast@gmail.com. Let us know what you think about Castlevania or any video game stuff. We'll read it on the show. And next week, we are going to be switching gears completely, playing a strategy game, a true strategy game, I think, for the first time. Sid Meier's Pirates. Sid Meier, of course, of Civilization fame. This is his earlier work, Sid Meier's Pirates. We're going to see how this one... Now we're going back to one of those, influential games, which means, boring. Or not. Might be good, might be fun. We're going to find out.
Way to really rope him in.
Oh, right. And also next week, I will say a slur. Tune in to find out which one.
All right. There you go. Now you've got him interested.
Mm-hmm. Okie dokie. We good?
Yeah. Gamers out.